Welcome to the Weather Insights Briefing. I'm meteorologist Scott Pitney along with meteorologist Jeff Lindner. This is Thursday, January 16th, and looking at some minor changes in the forecast for the winter weather expected for this weekend. We just showed this yesterday. This hasn't changed a whole lot. This is the 500 millibar mid-level pressure. You can see the high pressure ridge there on the left, and then the low pressure just to the right of that. And again, that Arctic air is just following those contour lines straight down. So this system is going to approach us from the north to the south. The polar vortex currently somewhere around the Lake Huron area over in Canada, centered there. And so that system is just going to come down right to the left of that and come down to the central U.S. and make it all the way down to Texas. And along with that are colder temperatures. Now, we do get a cold front on Saturday. So at least in Houston Metro, Saturday night into Sunday morning, temperatures will be in the low 30s. Right now, the forecasted temperature is around 33, 34. And again, these temperatures we're giving you today, keep in mind, especially with these winter events, they fluctuate with all the model runs. Not much, but maybe a degree or two. But when you're talking around the freezing mark, that's important. So right now, temperatures are currently expected to be above freezing, but near freezing Sunday morning. But then the big Arctic air comes through on Sunday, and these are Monday morning lows. You can see right along the coast, about the only area that's not freezing, south of I-10, right around freezing. Then along the I-10 corridor, got the upper 20s, and then it goes down as you go further north into the mid 20s, low 20s when you get north of College Station and areas up north of that as we get into the teens, if you get way up into the Dallas area. Then we have these are the lows for Tuesday morning. We've got a little bit of drop there along the coast. Now we see freezing temperatures along the coast and around 30 degrees, still upper 20s. Not a lot of change there along the I-10 corridor, mid 20s around the northern parts of the area of Houston, the Woodlands, and so forth, the College Station area, mid 20s. And then yesterday we did not show the wind chills. Well, we've got those for you today. We've got the teens, upper teens south of I-10, and that's really pretty consistent. You know, it gets a little bit lower as you go north around College Station. You see some 14, 12 degree marks. But bottom line, it's going to be cold. We're expecting those freezing temperatures to last for several days. So, as we said yesterday, make plans right now, at least by the weekend, for the three P's: pets, pipes, and people. Jeff, a little bit adjustment in the forecast, but the big question still remains about the precipitation.
Yeah, we kind of had some consensus yesterday with the models that were showing, some wintry mix across the area. And then that consensus kind of fell apart overnight. We had the GFS model kind of go towards a more drier scenario. Even the European model went towards a more drier scenario. But I'm not sure. We're going to have to see if this is an actual trend or if it was just kind of the one-off on the model to show the precipitation not as impressive as before. And so we'll see. What we like to do a lot of times is we like to kind of keep the forecast the same until we can really see this trend developing. And so what you're going to see here is still the onset of precipitation on Monday. So this is Monday around noon. We have a mixture of rain, light rain, maybe some freezing rain, maybe a little bit of snow here off to the north. Again, this is being forced by a coastal trough down here on the lower Texas coast. Now, how close this surface low and trough gets to the coast will play a part in what type of precipitation we have. The closer this gets to the coast, the warmer the air will. We'll try to get that warm air to back in from the Gulf of Mexico, and that could produce some rain right along the coast. And so it's kind of uncertain along with the temperature profiles what it looks like above us. So if it's below freezing from all the way up top all the way down to the ground, that's when you get snow. And if you have what we call a little warm nose or warm layer of air, usually around 2,500, 3,000 feet, that's when you can get into more of the sleet mixture. And then if that warm layer is deeper, you can get into what we call freezing rain. And so it falls as liquid water, hits the ground, and then it freezes into ice when it strikes a surface. So tree limbs, power lines, tops of vehicles, bridges, overpasses, that type of thing. You get this kind of glaze of ice that forms. And you can see here, this is 6 p.m. on Monday. We do have the potential for some freezing rain, possibly some sleet, kind of along and north of that I-10 corridor. And then as we go into the overnight hours, so this is 12 a.m. Tuesday morning, you can see that kind of freezing rain, sleet, possible snow mixture coming all the way down toward the coast. And again, this is a little bit more uncertain today than it was yesterday. We're just going to have to see, and unfortunately, I don't know if we're going to have a whole lot of clarity in the precipitation type. Are we talking snow, sleet, or freezing rain, or some of all of it? Until we probably get into that Saturday and more likely Sunday timeframe, we start to get into what we call our high resolution models, which have a little bit better dealings with this type of weather setup and everything versus the global models. And this is why we always tell people don't focus on any deterministic run. You can see there's big runs out there that show a lot of snow and ice one run, and then the very next one they show absolutely nothing. And so kind of looking at the overall trend of what's happening and also some of the ensembles is the best approach right now. And we've got to remember, we're still talking 5 days out here. So there is time for things to change. The kind of three scenarios we have on the table right now, dry. You could just be really cold and dry as we get into early next week. We could be cold and wet, or we could be cold and having a winter precipitation, freezing rain, sleet, or snow. So all three of those are on the table right now. Which one becomes more likely, we'll kind of see as we get into the weekend, along with what precipitation types become more likely, because that kind of starts to determine the accumulation. If you start with freezing rain and maybe transition over to snow, it's going to cut down on some of the snow totals. Freezing rain is probably the one thing we want to see the least of. That's where you start to add weight to the tree limbs and the power lines. And so you really want to be careful when we start talking about freezing rain and ice about what type of accumulations we could potentially be talking about. The other thing I'll kind of mention, you kind of went over the temperatures there, is there's the potential here that as we get into Tuesday, we'll be below freezing Monday night, Tuesday morning. If we get cloudy precipitation falling, we may not get above freezing on Tuesday. We could stay in the upper 20s or low 30s all day long on Tuesday. Right now, just based on what I'm seeing, this doesn't look like one of those cold scenarios where you're talking big pipe issues in your walls or in your attic, but we're sort of getting to that kind of boundary, if you will. So, around here, 24, 25 degrees is when we start to get worried about, the pipes in your walls and in your attics and stuff like that. We're not quite there yet, especially in the metro area, but we're not talking very far off from it. And so it wouldn't take a lot to get those temperatures down a little bit colder. The concern I have is if we do get precipitation, we do get some snow on the ground or some ice on the ground, it could lower those temperatures a little bit more, and it could also keep us below freezing for longer. And so we do need people to make those preparations. We have time tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be really one of the nicer days, highs near 70. You
Yeah.
even have some time on Saturday to get out there and take care of that stuff and make sure you
Yeah.
have all those preparations done before we really get into the cold as we get into early next week. And then lastly, just for travel, and this is, potentially a system that not only affects locally us here in the Houston metro area, but down towards Victoria, out west towards the Hill Country, the I-35 corridor. And so going forward into next week, these are some of the websites you're going to want to keep in mind. DriveTexas.org, TxDOT's website that will show ice and snow locations on the highways. And then, of course, locally here, the Houston Transtar website, HoustonTranstar.org, which will put any locations of ice or anything like that on the highways and the bridges and overpasses. So these are two websites to maybe bookmark for next week and keep an eye on before you get out and travel. Of course, for many people, Monday is a holiday.
Yeah.
So it's really getting into that Tuesday period of what we're going to be looking like. And honestly, we just really don't know right now. It could really be one of those three options we laid out. Any one of those is an equal chance at this point. So we'll just have to see over the weekend kind of which way we trend.
Yeah, it's winter weather is difficult enough to forecast on its own, and so we're not going to tell you what we hypothetically think. We're going to tell you what we know and we don't know, and so keep it right here on Weather Insights with the latest updates. That's one of the best things you can do right now is make those winter preparations, like Jeff just mentioned. Take down the websites on traveling, either around Houston or around Texas. That's also a good idea. And make sure you're subscribed to our Weather Insights YouTube channel. We'll have the link in the notes, and also make sure you are checking out our Weather Insights blog. Jeff, until next time, thank you very much.